This is the first video in the Blueprint series where we're going to look at the most important nodes to write your game logic. I just opened the third person template of Unreal. So if you hit Control plus space, that will open the content drawer at the bottom. And then make that a little bigger, just in case you can't find it. You just go to Content, Third Person, Blueprints, and then you click on the BP Third Person. BP stands for Blueprint Third Person. This is the third person character that Unreal has already made for you, and you can build on top of this. So just double click it, and it opens the blueprint. This is empty here, but here is the functionality that the blueprint already has that Unreal has built for you. But we're not going to look at this right now. We're just going to go down here and we can start building our own logic over here. When you open a blueprint, it opens a new tab here. So you can switch between tabs just like on Chrome. You can open the map or you can open the third person blueprint. Now within here, we can start programming the logic of the third person character. Within this, there's also tabs. So we have the event graph where all of your main blueprint is going to be. You have construction script. We're not going to look at this right now. And then you have the viewport. This is like the 3D view of all the components of your blueprint. So if you see here on the top left, you see components. You see, for example, the camera that selects this camera, the mesh that will be the actual 3D mesh of the character, and the capsule component. It's like a collision cylinder, like it says over there. But we're going to go to the event graph right now, over here. And to make something happen, you gotta trigger something, right? So we're gonna do right click, we're gonna add a node. So if you type in keyboard F, then it'll create this little node over here. All the nodes in Unreal Engine have a color. Red nodes are events. If you hover over it, it also explains what it is. So events for when the F key is pressed or released. It gives you two execution pins. So when you press it, it executes this. When you release, it executes this. So this is a node, and these are pins. These triangular white things are execution pins. This is what makes something happen. These little pins, like if they're on the right side, they output information. If they're on the left side, they take in information. Each of these also has a different color depending on the variable. Each blueprint has a bunch of variables. If you look here, there's a tab called variables, and you can add your own variables. That's just like stored data that's important to your character. So for example, you can plus, I'm going to call this variable health. So within this variable, we're going to store how much health, like HP, how much health points your third person character still has. And here it says what type of variable it is. It might say something else. It might go to, I think it automatically jumps to Boolean when you make one, but I already made this, so that's why it's already green. If you click on this, you can change it to a float. A float is a number. There's an integer and a float. We're not gonna get into what the difference is right now, but just press float for now. So now you can store a number in this variable. A Boolean is a true or false. So it stores whether or not the variable is true or whether or not it's false. We'll get into that later. But for now, just use the float. And then if you click on the float, if you click on any of these like components or variables, it opens here on the right. Oh, on the right, you have the details panel. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. It opens the details panel on the right here. And if at any point you lose one of these panels and you can't find them, just go to Window, and here you get the palette, the details. You got all of them right here. You can just click them and they'll spawn back. When you add a new variable, and it says default value here, you can't change it yet. You first have to compile the blueprint. So just on the top left corner, click compile here. Anytime you make any changes in your blueprint, you got to hit compile for it to actually take effect. So you have your new variable. And now that we've compiled our blueprint, you can see the default value here is 0. So we can set it to, for example, 50. But let me rename this. F2 renames everything. So if you hit F2, it just rename it. I'm going to call it health. First, print string. The print string helps us debug our blueprint a lot, or helps us get information when we need it during development. So when you press F, execution goes to print string. So this will execute and it will print hello. Let's compile, save. And on the top here, you can play your game. If you press these three dots here, you can change it to new editor windows, which is what I like. So it opens a new window with your game when you press this button. So let's do that. And then we can see that it's working. And when we press F, you can see that it prints hello in the top left corner as many times as you want. It does disappear after 2 seconds. You can change that too if you want. If you press here, you get more options. Duration, you can set that to 10. And now if we compile, save, it'll stay there for 10 seconds. But we want to change our health. We're just going to do it with new events. First trigger is going to be keyboard E. And sometimes for some reason it doesn't jump to the E, so you gotta look for it. This is really annoying. If someone has a trick for this, please let me know, because I always gotta look through it. It's horrible. So E, so this is a new event node. So now when E is pressed, whatever you put here is what happens. So we can click and drag a variable, and then we can either get it or set it. To get it is if you need to know what information's inside the variable. If you want to set it, you change it. But we want to change the health. So we can click and drag this, and we can set health. Now, you're going to connect the execution pin to set. So now, whenever you press E, health will be set to whatever value's in there, or whatever value you plug into this little pin over here. Right now it's set to 0, but that's not what we want. So we want to increase the health, for example. So let's say that every time I press E, you want to increase by 5. We want to know what our current health is, and then add 5 to that, right? So we're going to click and drag health again, but now we're going to press get health. And then we can drag off of this, and all you want to do is hit plus on your keyboard or type in add, and you can click this one. Now, important to know is that if you have this context sensitive box checked, everything will be easier to find. But if at any point you're watching a tutorial and you're getting a certain node that you can't find, just uncheck that and it will show everything. Everything that includes that plus symbol. Or here it shows all the nodes. I always keep this on unless I can't find whatever I'm supposed to find. So plus, and it knows, because I'm coming off of this health node, it knows that I probably want this one. It's just an addition node. It has 2 pins on the left side. That means 2 values can enter it, and it spits out the value on the other side. If you don't plug anything into here, you can just type whatever value you want in here. So we can do whatever health is, which is 50, plus 5 goes to health, and we set the health to whatever that is. So let's see if it works. Compile, save. We play our game. If we press E, nothing happens. Well, something does happen, but you can't see it. But when you press E, it actually does increase by 5. And this is why print strings are very useful. You could add a print string at the end of that event when you press E, so you can see that it actually worked and that it executed. Just press escape and it closes the game. So what we want to do here is we want to drag off of this execution pin. We want to type in print string. So it gets the info here at set health, but it also has an output pin. So you can click and drag, and it tells whatever you plug it into, hey, this is my new health. So you can plug it into this, and you can see that this is a green pin, and this is a pink pin, which means that there are different variable types. This is a string, and this is a float. It doesn't matter right now. If you connect it, it will automatically convert with this little node in the middle. Hit compile and save. Now, if you hit E, you see on the top left corner, it's 55, 60, 65, etc. You get the point. Now, do the same thing with decreasing your health. Try to maybe pause the video here, try to do it yourself, and if you didn't get it, then I'm going to show you right now. We're going to decrease it with keyboard. You can pick whatever key you want, but right now I'm just picking U. So we're going to do the exact same thing. You can just copy and paste this. Well, I didn't mean to copy this one. But instead of a plus, we get rid of that. We hit the minus and it says subtract. And we connect that just like before. And it also prints out the new value over here. So E is increase, Q is decrease. We didn't change this value here. So change that. Now let's see if it works. Yeah, plus 35, 40, 45, 50. That goes back to 45, 40, 35, etc. Cool. I think you understand this. There's the keyboard event, there's the get, there's the set, you can add, subtract, and you can print string. Let's add something new. If you've done coding before, you know what an if statement is. You have that in Blueprints as well, but they call it a branch. They don't call it an if statement. It's used so frequently that there's a shortcut for it. If you hold B on your keyboard and then left click, it opens up the branch node. But you can also just right click, type in branch, or even type in if, and it goes to branch. We want to connect these over here. Note that you can enter an execution pin from multiple lines, but you can only exit out of one. So let's say that I have another one here. If I connect this here, it'll break the other connection. You can only exit an execution pin once, but you can enter it from different points. Branch statement will do this. If whatever condition you plug in here is true, it will execute this pin. If whatever you plug into this is false, it will execute this one. Let's do a print string again, and we'll print it in green if it's above 15, and we'll print it in red if it's below 15. So let's get rid of these print strings here. We'll connect these. And then you got to get the condition, right? We're going to get the health. Click and drag on health, get health. What you can also do is right click, type in get health. If you have a lot of variables here on the left, this might be easier. It's the same thing, just another way to do it. Health, and then you can type in is less. If health is less than 0, this pin will execute. If health is not less than 0, it will go to false. So we can make two different things happen. Print string. We're going to say, if it is less than, we want it to print red. What do we want to print? We want to print the health. So get health. Get health. Plug that in there. Again, if health is less than whatever we put in here, let's say 15. I always forget to put in the value. So if health is less than 15, true, it will go to this print string. It will print whatever the value of health is in red. That's not really red, that's kind of pink. That's red. So now if false, we can do the same thing, right? We can just copy and paste this. But we change this to green. If you don't like how everything is on a different height, it's really annoying, you can just select all three and hit Q. It straightens it out. Let's see what we made. When I press the E key, it will increase health by 5. Then it will go to the branch. If health now, after doing that, is less than 15, it will print it in red. Otherwise, it will print it in green. Same for the Q. Decreases by 5 if this. Let's compile and save and see if it works. So 55 is green. Let's go down, hit Q a bunch. 20, 15, 10. So now it's below 15. 5, 0. And you can go below 0, which is actually not what we want. We'll get into that. But it works. That's great. Now you see that 15 is green. You can also write it to where less or equal to 15, but we said less than 15. So this is correct. 15 is not less than 15, so it's green. Now, how do we make it so that you cannot get health below 0 or above 100? In between this, whatever the new value is, we can drag out of that and say clamp, C-L-A-M-P. There's different types of clamps, so we want a clamp float because we're working with a float variable right now. If you hold Alt and click on one of these lines, it breaks the line because we want this return value from that. You can decrease the health, but the minimum is 0 and the max, we'll set that to 100, even though you can't decrease and go over 100. But now we can just click, like copy this one, paste it over here. And we can move this over here. Hold Alt, click to break that line. And we plug in the value. And now it cannot go below 0 and it cannot go above 100. Let's see if that works. Compile, save. Q, 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 Q. So now every time you hit it, it just stays at 0. It prints 0. And if we go up, it should do the same at 100. There you go. So now it cannot go over 100 and it cannot go below 0. Let's not make this video too long. So we're going to stop this one here and I'll see you in the next video.